Hey guys, guess what? Short Barrel has made its way to Texas. That's right. The very famous non-distilling producer, or an NDP as we like to call them, has landed upon the city of Houston. A bunch of different local stores around town now are carrying four different expressions. They're carrying the four grain, the toasted, the double oak, and the bee's knees. There's probably more to come, and there's probably some exciting news that I can't share yet, but we could see some single barrel picks soon enough hitting here even locally as Pearland at my home store Liquor Zone. So we'll see if that comes to be. But in the meantime, I thought what I could probably do is I could try to help some of us fellow Texans out, or even if you're not Texan and you never heard of Short Barrel, like what are they? Who are they? What do they do? And maybe we have some fun because whiskey should be fun, and we'll try some of these along the way. I hope that sounds good. Well, first of all, Short Barrel, they started just like we did, the Houston basement dwellers, myself. These guys, they got together as a group and they did a bunch of store picks and they started getting really good at it. After about 350 barrel picks, all the way dating back to like 2015, this group of dudes, they got together and they said, we love this. Let's get off the computer. Let's get off of whatever job they had and drop it. And they became warehouse workers, blenders, master tasters, like barrel brokers, finance guys, like this group of whiskey nerds like us got together and said, "Hey, let's dive in here and let's try to do our own thing." Well, that was, fast forward to 2023, and they decided to try to save one of the kind of the oldest known distilleries. It's actually the oldest distillery in the city of Atlanta, called Old Fourth Distillery. So that bought the brand, they brought the name, they bought about 1,000 barrels. So you may see Old Fourth out and about, but that's not their distillate. They just bought that brand to kind of resurrect it. And being the whiskey nerds they were like, hey, we don't want to see a brand kind of die. So they trying to bring that back to life. At the same time, guys, one of the really kind of exciting things about them is they said, hey, we're going to do what we do best, and we're going to continue to buy really great barrels. We're going to continue to try to do really cool finishes and bring it to the people that love whiskey. And so a lot of people in Texas love whiskey, and they haven't yet been licensed until very recently to be able to sell it here in the state. So without further ado, let's taste some whiskey. Let's get into it. So, first thing I'm going to start off with here is a very special bottle that I was able to get through. As I've shared with you guys before, I'm in the Bruzel Club, and so TJ and that group, they picked this one, which is called the Bee's Knees Blueberry. So let me share that one with you guys real quick. The Bee's Knees Blueberry, it is a single barrel and it's 111.4 proof. It's actually double barrel toasted and in a honey finish. It's got that famous 70-21% rye mash bill from Green River, Kentucky. And one little note on this one is the reason that they call it the bee's knees blueberry is because it was actually a bunch of bees near the blueberry field were pollinating the blueberry, and they say that this could have a little blueberry flavor. I don't get a ton on it, but I get a ton of honey. Actually, I like to call this one my Winnie the Pooh pour. But one little tip I'm going to tell you about the bee's knees: if you pick one of them up locally, it's very honey forward, and you can almost kind of see kind of like the cloudiness in this. So what you want to do is give her a good shake. And I did that before I poured this one up. So shake that sucker up, and that way it's got the honey all kind of blended and mixed through there. But let's get in on this one and let's get into it and give you a few notes on what you might find if you pick up a bee's knees. First time I've cracked this, I can remember back, I got a little funkiness on it and a little that Green River funk. You get less of that now. I'm going to be honest. After it was open for a couple weeks, it really aired out and opened up. And now I get tons of sweet honey on the nose. It's almost like like a sweet honey bun on the nose. Let's get into the taste. I mean, it's honey, honey, and more honey. It's literally like I'm Winnie the Pooh rolling around in a bourbon barrel, but covered in honey. It is the most honey forward. If that's your thing, you're going to really like this. The bourbon does come through. It is a little younger, so I think that's why you get a little bit of that funk on it. You can tell it's probably, they don't age state this, but I'm guessing it's around 3 to 5 years. I'll be honest, like I'm trying to find the blueberry in this. I don't find a lot of it, but man, Yeah, on the second sip, man, it really smooths out, and I start to get some of the wood. I start to get some of the oak. It's not intense oak, but you get a little citrus on this too, maybe just a little light lemon zest in here, not a lot, but and that could be the youthful part of this, but it's a fun pour. It's got a lot of honey on it. There are people that will tell you it's a little too funky for them, but it does have that kind of craft vibe. Again, like to cleanse the palate with a good old Topo Chico. So the next one I'm going to get into, guys, is actually this short barrel. It's called really kind of a cool, fun name. It's actually called the SAP Squatch, and the reason they call it the SAP Squatch is because of this really kind of cool idea that that it is finished in a maple barrel. So kind of like thinking of the the sap from the barrel blended with a sap squatch, Sasquatch. So it's just kind of a cool, fun name and a cool way for them to kind of to do a play on words there, right? So like Sapsquatch, this is actually a single barrel series which comes from Sealbox. Pick this one up. It's 116.2 proof. The age on this one I think is a little older than this one. It's than the bee's knees we had. 6 year 2 month. It's a finished in maple syrup and it's also toasted barrel. It's got a lot code M5-001. Maybe some of you guys that know more about short barrel can tell me what that one is. This is also that Green River distillate, but this one I'm really excited to try it because I like a lot of the maple finish stuff. It's just I like maple flavored stuff. I've been to Canada and bring back like maple coffee or maple candies. I just maple's a flavor that I dig. So let's get into this one. Oh yeah, some light sweetness on it. You don't get a ton of maple on the nose. More, I thought I'd let these air out for about 15, 20 minutes before I started this tasting. But let's get into it. Yeah. So on this one, you definitely get more age. You definitely get the oak on it. The toasted nature of it does give you kind of that marshmallow vibe, like a toasted marshmallow vibe. I get a lot of that on toasteds. Let's go in for the second sip. Yeah. Yeah, definitely get the maple through it. There's another note in there that's kind of like a brulee note, kind of like a creme brulee type thing where it's toasted on the top and it's got like those burnt sugars. So definitely get the burnt sugar vibe on this one. And one thing I can tell you with a lot of these finished whiskeys and that, it's a really good idea to do the Kentucky Chew. And if you don't know what the Kentucky Chew is, I'm going to show you real quick. So what you do when you take a sip, I'm going to take that first sip and I'm not going to let it get all the way to the back of my palate or the back of my tongue. I'm going to let it set right on the front of my tongue and kind of roll around a little bit and almost do just like a chewing motion to just kind of move it back towards the back of the throat. That way, I really try to coat the tongue and I try to get as much of the flavor as I can. So that's a little beginner taster tip from you for you. If you already knew that, sorry, but if you didn't, thought that might just be helpful. So let's do one more taste of the maple. Yeah, it's almost got a little fruit in there. It's almost like a toasted, it's like a toasted marshmallow, maple with maybe like a little, like if you were ever to take uh cherries Jubilee and you kind of little toasted cherry on it. Oddly enough, I get on this, which is kind of a cool flavor to get off of the sap scotch, but that's pretty cool. Hope you guys are able to pick that one up. That one hasn't made it to Houston yet, but I'm going to guess at some point it might, or maybe this one is only going to be a single barrel pick, but we'll see what single barrels they give us. Let's cleanse the palate. All right, third up, guys, we're going to get into this double oak. And just to tell you a story before I get into the double oak, was at a basement dweller bottle share, and a friend of mine brought one of the single barrel double oaks, and I fell in love with it. So I was able to pick this one up online from actually the short barrel site, and super excited to get it. But it's a batch product, and so it's not a single barrel. So just one kind of slight difference there. But let's take a look at this one. So the double oak series, this is batch two, it's 121.6 proof. This one is aged in that 5 to 10 year with that blend of 8 barrels. Some are probably older, some are probably a little younger. The way I set this tasting up is to kind of move up in age as we go through it. This one is finished for an additional 7 months in that second oak barrel, which is very important to a double oak. This one is a blend of mash bills. It's got that 21% MGP rye, as well as the Kentucky Green River distillate that we've talked about so far. So that's what we've got with the double oak series. Now, I'll tell you something. I think as I've gotten into my whiskey journey, I've kind of found with mash bills that I like a lower rye. A lot of these are that 21% rye. Now, they do make a cigar batch that I don't have here that's more of a shelfer cigar batch that is a higher 36% rye. But all of these happen to be right around that 21% rye, which for me, that's kind of my jam. I don't like a lot of rye forward, a lot of spiciness, baking spice, and I don't get a lot on these. But one thing about finishes, the higher rye, sometimes they can blend with the finishes better. So, do you want to taste some of the bourbon through it, or do you want to taste more of the finish? I think one of the differences, and I'll point this out with short barrel, is you taste more of the bourbon than the finish. Where with some of our good times that I've talked about before, you're going to taste more of that finish, and that's a big difference between the two. Let's get into the nose on this. Definitely get the oakiness up front on the nose. Get some little like burnt brown sugar. Let's get into the taste. Immediately, yeah, that's good. For me, on a lot of these double oaks, and I get this on the Pursuit double oak, the burnt um, wood flavors I really enjoy. I like barbecue. I like Texas barbecue. Now, this doesn't have like that smoky barbecue, but more of like a sweet, tangy kind of vibe on it. And it gives almost into like a pecan nuttiness, is what I get on this, which is a little crazy. I know this isn't pecan finished, but it gets close to that. Now, it's not near like a Crittenden's pecan stave that I've had, but let's get into the second sip on this double oak. Yeah, I'm enjoying this a lot more. This is the second time I've had this. On the first crack, it was a little tannic. And you might, what is tannic, Hack? Well, here's another tip for you. Tannic is what those wood flavors are. So if you think of like when you char a barrel and or like char a marshmallow or char anything and it gets that crispiness on the outside, those create tannins, and those tannins can almost taste acidic if they're not blended well, and it's too much tannins. A lot of times that can put people off. I don't think this one has like too much tannins. They're there, and I think someone, if you're the type of drinker that you don't like a heavy oak impact, you're probably not going to like this double oak. Where you might like an Old Forester 1910 that's a more kind of subtle double oak, lower tannins. This one's got a high oak impact. And I think depending upon like where you are in your whiskey journey, a lot of times you can really like that thicker, heavier oak impact. Let's give it one more taste. Yeah, I would swear to you, if I didn't know this is Green River Distillate, it's almost got that Knob Creek vibe where it's got a little of that nuttiness, caramel, burnt sugar thing. Very, very good. I'm enjoying this one a lot more than I did the first time. Really great. All right. I'm excited about this last one. So let me cleanse the palate one more time. All right, guys. This last one is a cigar batch. And man, was I lucky to get this one. This one, they only had a couple of hundred bottles available because it was distillery only. So let me show you the specs on this bad boy. The cigar batch number 3, this is only third time they've done it, and it was a distillery only release. Don't confuse the color of this label, which is kind of golden. You'll see two other cigar batches out there. One will be blue, which is the low rye mash bill, and one will be red, which is the high rye mash bill at 36%. This one, because it's got that gold label, tells you this is actually a distillery only. Now, the age on this one, 6 to 11 years as the base. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But it's got 4 different finishes, which the longer I get into whiskey, the more I enjoy some of these finishes, especially the cognac, rum, armagnac, and port finishes. This mash bill is still that Green River mash bill that we've talked about. But little secret tip here, I talked to my good friend Ed, and I'll talk more about Ed in a minute. but he told me that they add a little bit of 17 to 18-year American light whiskey. And that's why this bad boy, you'll notice if you look at the label closely, it's not called bourbon. It's actually called a blend of straight whiskeys. And that is why this cigar batch is actually not a bourbon, because they're taking some of that older light whiskey and mixing it in with the cigar batch, which I'm super excited to try. Let's see if it comes through. Let's get in on the nose. Okay, it's a very inviting nose. As soon as I smell the cognac and Armagnac, it just tells me, okay, this is done well. I like a lot of cigar blends. I'm not a cigar smoker, but I like the cigar blends. Let's get in on this one. Oh wow, yeah, yeah. Okay, first sip. It has got a creaminess, butteriness to it that just really coats the tongue. There's a lot going on with that one. With all the different finishes, they're done really well together. And that extra 1 to 3 year in each separate barrel of the finish, I think it's doing something that makes it not any one thing stand out. Like when I've had the other cigar blends like Joseph Magnus, I can really taste the cognac, I think, over the port. And I can tell you this is where they set. I'm going to do a second sip here, but I'm not really getting a vibe of like, okay, this finish is setting up here versus this one. Let's try it. Yeah, it's done really well. It's not very drying. You know, a lot of these can be super dry with that many different finishes. It's a very complex pour, and I feel like to properly rate it, I need to spend a lot more time with it, but it's done really, really well. I would tell you it's probably in the top 5 cigar blend batches that I've had. I don't think it look, I don't think it's as good as say like Tanager. I definitely don't. I would not say that it's probably as good as the Joseph Magnus cigar blends that I've had, but it's up there. And again, it hasn't been open very long. I've just had a couple of pours out of it. And that's another thing. Like when you rate whiskeys, be careful about first crack, the neck pour. It is a real thing in that if you give that bottle a little time to open up and come back to it later on, a lot of times, you know, you can get a little different flavor profile than you will when you first crack it. But I'm super excited, guys. Super, super excited that yes, short barrel. We're glad you're in Texas now. We're we want to thank you for coming here. We're excited to have you to Texas, and we're friendly in Texas. I think that's our motto or something like we're friendly in Texas. We want to welcome you, short barrel. I'm hoping that we get to have some really cool picks, and we get to bring some more of this to you. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did enjoy it, I really, really hope that you'll consider subscribing to us. We go live every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Central. We drop different videos. We may go live every once in a while between there, but we're just getting started. We've been going for about 4 months now, and we just hit 500 subscribers. And I thought, you know, what a great way for me to try to bring some information about what is short barrel, go through some of the expressions. I hope you like this. If you did, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, and click the bell to notify you when we go live. Thank you guys for being here. Whiskey should be fun. Thank you again, and have a great rest of your weekend. Peace out, y'all.